Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 6 on DraftKings is here. I'm going to break down some of the top NFL DFS running backs for the week. Typically, we try to focus on the 5-box running backs. And if you're new to the channel, you don't know what the 5-box running backs are. So like I look at different check boxes that are predictably, historically back-tested, data proven to show that if these players have any of these boxes that you can check off, are they playing at home? Are they favored? Do they have a probability of getting 20 plus touches? Do they have engagement in the passing game? And do they get inside the 5 carries? Every one of those is a very powerful stat that helps propel them to a better game. Sometimes they check off all 5 boxes, and that's what I try to focus on for this video week in and week out. However, this week, there really aren't that many 5-box running backs to talk about. So I'm going to identify some of the ones that I think are there and then highlight some other running backs. There's a lot of really highly projectable running backs and some of them that projected a value, which is going to make this week a little bit interesting because I don't think everybody's going to kind of move towards one particular running back, and which is also going to make it so that like the 5th best running back might come in at a really low percentage for. So let's go.
He's a legend.
The week 6 Smiz Gang Listener League is 5,500 spots. If you wanted to enter it, it is not a lobby game on DraftKings. You have to use the link, which means that you want to go to smizzle.tv/links. That's where you're going to find the Listener League link and links to everything else that I do. Every one of my socials, the Twitch live streams, Twitter, my Instagram page, everything else is on there, as well as my Best Buys article. So just go to smizzle.tv/links. It is your one-stop shop for everything that I do. $10 entry fee, 3 max, absolutely no rake. The #1 best tournament that exists on DraftKings.com. Make sure that you enter it because it is going to fill early. If you wait until Sunday morning, you will not get a spot. I will shout out the winners on the Fantasy Football channel. Link to that is also in the link tree. In the recap video that I do every single Monday morning, look out for that as well. The #1 running back, the guy that we had on the cover, is Nick Chubb. Now, look, I know that he's going to break a little bit of the rules here because, you know, he doesn't really get all that much involvement in the passing game, but all he does is score touchdowns. With a touchdown in his last 4 games, 7 on the year, leading the league in terms of rushing touchdowns, also has 7 inside the 5 carries, is definitely has an expectation of getting 20 or more opportunities in this game, as we've seen him do that 4 of the first 5 games. In the 1 game he didn't last week against the Chargers, still scored 2 touchdowns and had 134 yards rushing. Retired from the 5 under 5 video. I'm never allowed to use him. He will not project or be under 5% here in week 6. He's going to be an extremely popular choice as a pay up option because of how valuable he's been so far. Now, look, he doesn't run the ball a ton when you talk about like his running back snaps as a percentage of running back snaps on his team. However, the Browns just run the ball so damn much. They've run it like 30 times more as a team than the 2nd place team. Like they've run it like 177 times this year. And while he only handles like, had 177 running back touches, not just run it. And when you factor in that he might be getting 60% of those, he's like 3rd in the league in terms of overall touches anyway. He's 2nd in the league in PPR scoring. So like, you know, targets be damned. I want to target targets for sure, which is why Nick Chubb has a much lower floor. But when this offense is moving as efficiently as this offense has been moving with Jacoby Brissett under center, that means good things for Nick Chubb because of how solid a runner he is. Now, he is great at breaking tackles. He's outstanding at big splash runs and yards after first contact. But this offensive line is giving him so many good holes to run through that he is into the 2nd level more often than not. Like the amount of long runs that he is able to get has been a skill that he has shown over the years. 41-yard long last week, 28 in week 4, 36 in week 3. He has not busted a 50-yard run yet, but like, you know that one's coming at some point. He's just too good at that. So Nick Chubb, one of your top running backs this week. Next on the list is Aaron Jones. As I said, we're breaking the rules this week. It's just that kind of a week right now. Aaron Jones may not project to get 20 plus touches in this game, but he checks literally every other box. They have now, here's the one that you're going to call me. Well, he's not getting inside the 5 carries. Oh yeah, but like nobody has for this team, right? They just haven't really progressed to that point all that often. Only 2 inside the 5 carries so far for the Green Bay Packers. 2 of those have gone to AJ Dillon. None of them have gone to Aaron Jones. They just haven't made that many trips inside the 5-yard line because, you know, reasons. But Aaron Jones against this Jets defense should have a really solid opportunity here, handling over 50% of the running back touches and snaps for the Green Bay Packers. I believe they're favored by like 7.5 this weekend, with a total of 45 in that game. Aaron Jones, a very solid play this week if you wanted to attack through him, but very pricey at 7,600. I think he may come in at a lower percentage. We're going to have to monitor that as the week goes on, because if a lot of people are on Aaron Jones at 7,600, I'm probably going to go somewhere else, because there are other running backs who project for a high touch count. The next guy, this one is actually a $5 running back this week, if he plays. They are optimistic that Taylor and his ankle will be ready for this weekend's game against Jacksonville, a team that he is a partial owner of. He has owned them every single time that they've played, and he's going to continue to do that as long as he's healthy. 20 plus touches on the ground, plenty of targets, with 16 of them across the 4 games that he's played. If Jonathan Taylor gets 4+ targets on average over the course of this year, he's going to be absolutely stellar. So please let him play in this game. 8,000. Otherwise, we're in a situation where like maybe Deion Jackson is the guy. People are going to overplay Nyheim Hines into that spot if he's ready to go here. So kind of hoping that Jonathan Taylor is healthy and ready to go. I'm not going to put too much stock in the Wednesday practice report with regards to Jonathan Taylor, paying way more attention to what happens on Thursday and what happens on Friday. So like if they give him Wednesday off, which is typically just like a warm-up walkthrough day, it's a light practice day in the NFL. A lot of veterans get Wednesday off. A lot of guys dealing with injury spend Wednesday in the training room. They aren't there for the press open part of practice. So don't sweat it if Taylor misses practice on Wednesday. Start worrying on Thursday. Definitely worry and make different plans if he is not out there on Friday. Saquon Barkley. Now we're getting into the guys that just aren't checking the boxes. Like the Barkley is an underdog in this spot, so not checking that box, but has been absolutely fantastic, handling 85.2%.
Listen.
Hey, Joe, thank you for donating $25 to No Kid Hungry. I really appreciate that. Saquon Barkley, 85.2% of the touches and third in scoring in PPR for running backs, but only 3 touchdowns so far in the year. He's doing it with volume, which is something that I absolutely love to see. Now, you guys know that I drafted a ton of Saquon Barkley across my best ball lineups on both sites, right? On DraftKings and on Underdog Fantasy. I was all over Saquon Barkley going at the end at the 2-3 turn and sometimes well into the 3rd round. I was clicking him all summer long. By the end of the summer, he was a 1st round ADP, and for good reason. Now, the touchdowns are going to come. They just are. You cannot possibly get this much volume and not end up scoring touchdowns. Brian DeBall is doing exactly what we wanted him to do. They are working with a skeleton crew at wide receiver right now. Hopefully, those wide receivers can start getting more healthy, because as they do, Saquon Barkley's volume is going to stay pretty solid. Like, yeah, he got 31 carries against Chicago. That's not really the optimal usage that I would want to see from him. I like 30 plus touches, but it's not something we can expect every single week. But if he's going to get between like 14 and 20, 14 and 21, and then between 4 and 7 targets, that is absolute optimal usage for a running back, and he has paid off on it. Big play, big splash. Saquon is back. 2 40-yard plays, one on the ground, one through the air in jolly old England against Green Bay. 29-yard run against Chicago, 36 against Dallas, 68-yard touchdown against Tennessee. If we get that sort of volume and we have the big splash ability that guys like Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb also carry with him, and the more usage in the pass game than either of those two, Saquon Barkley, those touchdowns are going to start filing in as they get more plays from inside the 5-yard line, more trips to the red zone as those wide receivers get healthy, because Daniel Jones is like middle of the pack in terms of quarterback rating right now, which is a massive testament to how good the coaching and scheming has been for this Giants team so far this year. Major upgrade in terms of staff. Ramondre Stevenson, more like Ramondre Seasonson, am I right? Everybody's out. Ty Montgomery is out, which led to the bump in usage for Ramondre the last couple of weeks that we started seeing in week 3. And now Damian Harris expected to miss like the foreseeable future, like the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, which means that Ramondre at 6K is roughly at least 700 too cheap, possibly 1,000 too cheap. Is going to be one of the more popular running backs this week, going against Cleveland, who just gave up a monster day to Austin Eckler last week. Now, Ramondre is not probably going to carry it 25 times, and is probably going to see a few less carries. He'll get spelled when he's tired, but as I said on the Anti-Tinker cast last week, anytime Bill Parcells has less toys to play with at a specific position, the better it is for us in fantasy. Ideally, Belichick does not want any running back to get more than 40% of the snaps, and he wants to split those snaps among 3 guys. He lost Montgomery, who was one of them. He lost Harris, who's the other one. We've seen this happen in the past with like Dion Lewis. We've seen this happen in the past with other running backs. When he has nobody left, he's like, all right, you're just going to have to carry the load. Expect 75+% of the snaps and touches minimum for Ramondre Stevenson moving forward in an offense that is operating without the best wide receiver room, is operating without their starting quarterback, and in a Zappy-led offense against Detroit. Now, granted, Detroit may be the softest landing spot, and they're on bye this week, so we're missing that. For any opposing offense, right? That's the dream matchup this year. He ran for 161, had 2 catches, no touchdowns, still had 22 points. If he's the main guy in New England, and right now he is the main guy in New England, Ramondre Stevenson is going to be heavily played this week, and for good reason. And the last running back on the video, I just hope Breece Hall stops falling down on the 1 yard line. I just hope I hope that's a thing. Okay, please stop falling on the 1, because when you fall down on the 1, Breece, they bring in Michael Carter, and you know, that's a problem, because then they just give the carry to Michael Carter. And I would hope, like, Breece Hall was like being real happy when Michael Carter scored those touchdowns. Like, yeah, we scored, we're gonna win, that's great. And he said the right things in the press conference after the game. You know, like, I just want to win games, I don't care about this or that. Like, that's great. Like, he's practiced his cliches. The young man has clearly watched his Bull Durham. He's done the work in the off season, but massive increase in his snap percentage, massive increase in first and second down snaps and usage. Big playability, as we saw with the 79-yard catch and run where he fell on the 1 yard line. Could have had a 42-point DraftKings day if they just rewarded him for those big plays. So hopefully Breece Hall can do the thing where he finishes off those runs. Tremendously talented running back, playing more snaps each of the last 3 weeks, getting tremendous usage in the passing game against the Green Bay defense that has been very susceptible against opposing running backs. 5,800, far too cheap. A lot of running backs at that 6K and down range for people to choose from this week. So I wish you the best of luck. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.